Hey everybody, welcome to my preview of Week 2 of the Overwatch League's key matchups. Last week we had some really exciting games, and hopefully we get more of the same this time around. If you missed the previous episode and want to know how this series works, just know that I'll be going over what games I see as important that are worth watching. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, all times you see on the screen are in Eastern Standard Time, so make sure to figure out when the games start for you if you don't live in that time zone. And now without wasting any more time, let's dive straight into Day 1's matchups. So this Thursday doesn't really have any games that are super eye-catching, but I still think it's worth paying attention to a few of them. To start off, I think the Justice vs London game is somewhat interesting. Sure, this game might seem like a snooze fest on paper, but the Spitfire struggled in their first two games and now are off to an 0-2 start. It's going to be interesting to see how well they bounce back in this game. Washington is seen as a weaker team by most people, so this is a game London should be able to win. If the Spitfire don't win this game easily, then they could be in for a very long and painful Stage 1. The third game of the night has also caught my eye. The Fuel had a very strange opening week. They got crushed by the San Francisco Shock, but then dominated the Seoul Dynasty later in the week. It's important to watch this game in order to figure out if Dallas is a solid team or one that's very inconsistent. We also only got to watch the Charge play once last week, so this is a good opportunity to see some more action from them because after all, they're looking like a decent team, but it's kind of early to tell, so we need to watch them a little bit more to find out. Moving on to Friday's games, I actually think that all of these games are worth paying attention to. The first game of the night is the Atlanta Reign versus the Toronto Defiant. Both teams look good in the games they played in last week. Atlanta crushed the Florida Mayhem, and they almost managed to beat the Fusion after an intense 5-map set. Defiant looks solid as well, and that's a great sign for this team. Let's see if he can continue to play at this level in his next game. This could also be a big game for the Defiant because a win here could give them a serious confidence booster. The team made a crazy come-from-behind reverse sweep comeback against the Houston Outlaws last week without Neko, who is one of the team's best players in my opinion. A win here could help elevate this team to the next level, but a loss could actually have the opposite effect. Up next, we have the LA Valiant and the NY Excelsior. New York is coming into this game with a 2-0 record, while the LA Valiant are 0-1 after a tough loss against the Spark. This is what I like to call a rivalry game. The Valiant managed to beat the NY Excel twice last year, which is something that only 3 other teams were able to do. I'm sure that New York is looking to get some revenge after getting destroyed in the Stage 4 finals, while the Valiant are hoping to secure their first win of the season. Both teams would benefit tremendously from a win here. It all depends on who wants it more. These are two teams that are usually really fun to watch, so you definitely don't want to miss it. Match number 3 is the Shanghai Dragons versus the Boston Uprising, and I have this as a key matchup for 2 different reasons. The Dragons still haven't won a game in their franchise's existence, so it would be pretty historic to see them get their first win after losing 42 matches in a row, but also, the Boston Uprising have looked surprisingly strong, even with the lack of players to work with, so it's going to be interesting to see if they can keep up this high level of play. The final game of the night between the Outlaws and the Spark should also be pretty good. Houston lost on map 5 twice last week, so I'm sure they're going to be working harder than ever in this game to get that first elusive win of the season. The Spark looked solid in their matchup against the Valiant, so it's going to be interesting to see if they can replicate that same high level of play. Also, the Blizzard Arena is probably going to be extremely loud during this matchup. This is a battle between 2 of the most popular teams in the league. Both fan bases are going to be absolutely wild for their teams, so I'm sure this is going to make this game even more exciting. On to day 3, we have 2 games that are worth paying attention to. The first is the LA Gladiators and Paris Eternal matchup. LA played against 2 solid teams last week and had mixed results. They lost a hard-fought game, but they also won a game. Winning this game could give their team, and more specifically their rookie main tank Roar, more confidence. When looking at this from the Eternals' point of view, I'm sure that they feel good after delivering a beat down to last year's champs in their first game of the stage. This team is looking extremely strong in the GOATS meta, so the Gladiators are going to have their work cut out for them. Another reason to be excited about this game is because the rivalry between Surefour and Soon gets to continue. These guys have been going head to head since the early days of Overwatch, so it's going to be fun to watch them go at it once again. They both play Zarya for their teams, so seeing who wins the Zarya battle will be something to look out for. The other key game that I have on Saturday is between the Dallas Fuel and the Philadelphia Fusion, and I don't really have a super specific reason why I think this game's going to be really fun to watch. It's more that it's just a gut feeling, I guess you can say. I think both teams have a lot of confidence coming into this game, and I'm expecting a 5-map showdown. And finally, we have Sunday's games, which are all looking pretty good. All of them are key matchups in my opinion. Starting with the Spark and Spitfire, I think a win for the Spark in this game could show that they are more than capable of defeating the most talented teams in the league, and a win for the Spitfire here could be the thing to help put them back on the right track. I know London didn't really look too good last week, but I think this game has the potential to be one of the best of the week. Match number 2 is the New York Excelsior versus the Houston Outlaws. Although the NY Excel won every matchup played between the two teams last year, these two teams always play against each other very hard, and I'm expecting to see more of the same during their Stage 1 matchup. Finally winning against a team that they have never beaten could also help increase team morale for the Outlaws. This is one of my most anticipated matchups of the week. I'm really excited for this one, and you should be too. The main reason I have the LA Valiant and Defiant game labeled as a key matchup is because we get to see Envy take on his former team. I'm sure that Envy wants to win this one really badly. He's out to prove that it was a mistake for LA to get rid of him. At the same time, the Valiant want to win this one so they can laugh at Envy while bragging about why they don't need him. The Space versus Envy Diva matchup is definitely worth paying close attention to in this one. Both of them are really good at this hero, and whoever has the better day could help decide the outcome of this game. And lastly, we have the Vancouver Titans taking on the San Francisco Shock. Both of these teams could very well end up being the top dogs of the Pacific Division. Both sides are looking really strong, so I'm expecting to see a close game between two heavyweights. I'd say that the Titans had the advantage coming into this one, because this is a meta they have always thrived in since their days where they were known as Runaway. This is a big game for both sides for sure. It's hard to say who's going to win this game, because the Shock have the experience advantage, but the Titans at the same time are the stronger team in this meta. I'm sure this is going to be a fun one to watch regardless of the outcome. And those are all of the key matchups on the schedule for week 2. Let me know what games you're looking forward to watching down in the comment section, and while you're at it, let me know if there's any important games that you think I missed. If you enjoyed today's content, then make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. Thank you all so much for watching today's content, and now I'm out of here, guys. Peace.